this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Chicago. And today our question comes to us from Zysahn, who asks what I think about the recent controversy in the Muslim world over the film The Innocence of Muslims. And also from TheByteBin, who asked my opinion of how pagans should react if a similarly libelous movie were made about our religion, and what would be the best way for us to handle that. And my first answer to this, to the first part of the question, is I think that the riots that we have seen over this movie are absolutely ridiculous. I think there is never an occasion that a movie should be the occasion of violence. I don't think there's any excuse for it, I don't think there's any reason for it, and I don't think there's any sanity in it. At least not at the surface level. I think that for the ordinary person involved, it is an inexcusable excess, and I don't care what religion you are, it is not an option that you should follow. There are a couple of reasons why I say that. One is that it's simply wrong. Another is that, at least from the point of view of acceptance and peace in the world, it's not a successful strategy. When you react in that way, you certainly win no friends. And if your goal is to show people that you are a good and noble religious movement, well, that certainly doesn't do it. I will say that I think there is a question of whether that's the goal behind those riots. And one of the things about this movie is that, from what I understand, it's really a piece of garbage that nobody ever would have seen if it had not received this publicity. And so I kind of think that the people behind the riots seized upon an otherwise unremarkable piece and used it as an excuse to make political hay. So I suppose there's sanity at that level if that is the goal. It's still immoral, it's still wrong. Now, having said that, if a similarly slanderous movie were made about the pagan religion, how should we react? Well, the first answer is that there have been plenty of them, haven't there? It would not even be an unusual occurrence for us. And we have never found it necessary to go out and kill people over it, so I don't see why they should either. There have been all kinds of horrible movies made about us, although in the last 20 years there have been far fewer of them, and our portrayal in the media is much better now than it once was. It's also worth saying that there have been plenty of slanderous movies made about the Christian religion, at least from their own point of view, of which I think the most famous is The Last Temptation of Christ. And if you remember, there were death threats over that as well, which were equally immoral and improper. I think the way that one should react to such a situation is to try to educate people. Use it as an occasion to open dialogue and to give them good information that puts you in a good light. I think that reacting with anger, and especially with violence, only puts you in a bad light and does you more damage than is done by the movie itself. And in the case of The Innocence of Muslims, I don't think anybody ever would have seen the thing. From what I understand, it was bad. It was not, certainly not a major motion picture of any sort. And had it not been for these riots, I don't think anyone would have ever heard of it. So far from counteracting its message, they actually publicized it. So again, I don't think it's a successful strategy. It's certainly not a moral one, and it's not the way that one should react. So I hope that answers your question, and until next time, may you blessed be.